Okay, welcome back to Taco Bell Gaming, and this is another tutorial episode. And for this episode, I wanted to show the three main DLCs that I think are really good to have, almost essential to have to play Europa Universalis 4. And that is Art of War, Rights of Man, and Common Sense. Cossacks is a good potential also one, but this is just those three: Art of War, Rights of Man, Common Sense. And if you play on Steam, that also is in a bundle called the Empire Founder Pack. And so occasionally they'll go on sale and you can get that that feature there. So I wanted to go through a few of the features that are a part of the game. Okay, so that's not there yet. That are part of the game in the midst of that. First things first, you now have some new things that appear on this screen. First off, we have consorts. If you enter into royal marriages with other nations, sometimes you can get a consort. And this is normally the opposite gender from your ruler, although not always. You can go on Reddit and see that sometimes that changes a little bit. But you have a consort, and this person is typically just there to ensure that you don't fall into a regency council if your king dies before your heir becomes 16. Previous to that, if your king died before your heir was 16, you would have a regency council. It was normally not overly very good. And the big thing is you can't declare war if you have a Regency Council. With this expansion, these three expansions, you can get a consort, and if your king dies but you have a consort, then the consort rules until your heir turns 16, and a queen consort or a prince consort can declare war. So it's that extra bit to avoid having to worry about declaring war. For another thing, you have subject interactions. Now, Portugal is a personal union of me right now. And now, all of a sudden, I can click on this, and I have interactions here. I can enable embargoing rivals. I can support loyalists. I can enforce my culture, which is interesting. Very difficult. I can enforce religion. I can pay off their debt. I can siphon their income. With vassals, you can do even more, but I don't currently have a vassal. I would have to win the war, which I will do here in a moment, and come back. But there are some other interactions. There's some new interactions with colonies. You can replace a governor. You can placate the local rulers. You can still increase and decrease tariffs, but there's so many other things, right? You can pay off their debt. And importantly, with a colony, if they have a CB on someone else and it's not one of their you're not at war, that's what I'm thinking, then you could tell them, you know what, New Granada, you have a CB on the Netherlands, which sometimes you can fabricate a claim on, the Netherlands here, and then grant that CB to them. I don't think that's actually one of the things you can do here. But if they get a CB on the Netherlands, you say, you know what, start war in colony, and then New Granada will go to war with the Netherlands without calling us in. It's just between those two countries. That can be really good if you have a very large vassal or a very large colony, and a very large country in Europe has a small colony over here. You can tell the colony, you know what, colony, just take out that colony, and you don't have to fight them, and it would be a lot better for you in that case. So that's subject interactions. They usually affect liberty desire, and they'll cost prestige, or they'll cost something else. Another thing is great powers is introduced. So there are 8 great powers. It is based upon your development. The percentage of your development, based on this. So the Mughals here are a few institutions behind. So even though they have 1,138 development, which is their own development and half of their subjects, They are behind both France and Russia that have less than that, but because they are ahead in institutions, their score, which is over here, is halved a little bit, or it is helped out by that, not hindered as much as Ming's and Mughals is, so they are there. Now, as soon as the Mughals embrace one of those institutions, they'll jump them. It doesn't really matter what rank you are on the Great Powers, it just matters that you're on the Great Powers. The Great Powers gives you Great Power actions. Let's go to a nation that I can actually do things with. Okay, Algiers is a subject nation of the Ottomans. Let's go to the Ottomans. They're a great power. Morocco, there we go. So, great power actions. If a nation is in debt, I can take on that debt. Just have to have their total debt in ducats at the time, and it's great. You can influence their nation. You pay 12 months of their income, and they, like you, 25 more for 10 years. It's immediate, and it doesn't go down until 10 years, and it just disappears. And they also receive one monarch power in the weakest they are currently in. So the weakest one of these numbers. So if someone were to influence us, which they can't because we're a great power, we would get a diplomatic power in that. Occasionally, if you are playing over here or something, Ming does sometimes influence you. It can be very, very helpful. Let's see, the other things you can do. If they're at war, you can intervene in the war. This is more of a great power action. So if there are two great powers in a war on one side and one great power in a war on the other side, you as a great power can intervene to balance that out. It's very Hearts of Iron 4, World War II-ish style there. And then finally, you can ask them to break an alliance. So let's see if there's a nation here that has an alliance. Bohemia, do you have an alliance? Does anybody have an alliance in a start date? There we go, Brunswick. I can tell Brunswick, I don't like that you're allied to Denmark, and they have, reasons. They typically don't like to do it, but if I could get a CB on Brunswick, they would say, you know what, okay, fine, we will break that alliance. It creates a truce with Brunswick, but does not create a truce with Denmark, if I remember that correctly. Very important mechanic there, great powers. Also indicates, that you're in the top 8 countries in the world. In fact, with me right now, I'm the #1 country in the world. So that would be nice. Another mechanic in these 3 is that you can fire an advisor. So now, if I don't want any of these guys, I can click this button here, and at the cost of whatever it would cost to hire them, so 29, 28, and 119, I can just get rid of them. Just get rid of them, and then in the next month, 3 more will pop up, or however many more to get to my total maximum amount, which in this case is 3. Another thing that has appeared is national focus. So by clicking on one of these buttons, right now it's placed on military power, I will lose 1 per month in the other 2. And that 1 will go to the one that I want to have a focus on. Unless if I were to click on this and uncheck it, if you will, then it would be, none of them would be losing anything. So you see right now, we have a base of 3. My monarch's power is 1, makes it 4, but my national focus is now removing that 1, sending it over to military, and that makes it 3 again. Same with diplomatic, and then here, we're getting 2 from the national focus. So it's base of 3 plus 1 for the ruler, and then plus 2 for the national focus, and then we have too many leaders. Another big one is the League War, which is kind of why I started on this date, and I hope it's going. So there it is. The Religious War is a gigantic event that happens within the Age of Reformation. I think it's 1550 that it could fire. It needs a Protestant prince, or a Protestant elector. If there is at least one Protestant elector, there's a chance that the League War will fire. Then you, as any nation in Europe, can pick a side. The Emperor is always the leader of the Catholic League. The strongest Protestant nation is the leader of the Protestant League. That's in the Protestant League is going to be the leader of the Protestant League. So if, say France was Protestant, if I flipped to Protestant, which we are going to do here in a minute, and then joined the Protestant League, then I would become the leader because I'm way stronger than Brandenburg. Although I do think you have to be a certain percentage stronger, so maybe like 200% stronger, 150% stronger. But I'm pretty sure we would cover that of Brandenburg, so we would take over the Religious League, which we will do here in a moment. Let's just do that. So we're going to convert to Protestant. I can't because I'm at war. Never mind. So we will win the war, we will convert to Protestant, and I will show you the declaration of the League War, see what happens with that. Right now, you click on one of these buttons to join the League or not join the League. I'm going to go ahead and join the Protestant League as soon as I get out of war, because you can't join the League War when you're at war. Another thing is that you have a ton, and one of the reasons that I think this is vital to play the game is that you can have a lot of interactions when you're at war. So I'm at war currently with just the Netherlands, and they have provinces up in Europe, they have provinces down here, and I think, you know what? I want my vassals, my colonies, to just get rid of this. I don't like that this is here, and I don't want to have to send an army down there. I can go to objective, and I can say, you know what? New Granada, which is the one right up here, you take that. And so now I am telling them to Hispaniola. Hey, what's going on here? Where is New Granada? There's New Granada. I can tell New Granada to take those lands. And there's a certain amount of pretty heavy indicator that they will try and do that. Typically what I use that for is forts, to be honest, is to say, you know what, I'm going to divvy this up. Let's see, do I have Portugal on my side? No, they're a personal union. Why aren't they on my side? Probably the mechanics of the game. Do they have scutage? That's not a thing in this. So if Portugal were on my side, right, I would have a vassal over here. I would have a friend over here. I might tell them, you know what, France, if France was in this war, France, you go take that fort. And so I can kind of tell them to go different places. Really, really helpful if you're facing a large alliance structure, to be able to tell your friends to go take a capital of some smaller nation, so eventually I can get them out of the war without having to fight them, and I can focus on a different place, focus on a larger capital. Another thing that you can do is there are some more options in the economy options if you're not at war. You can sell your ships. You have to sell entire fleets, but you can, break up the fleet into, taking off 2 or 3 ships, or even one by one, and you can sell them. You can sell them for a certain amount of money. You also can declare war for a subject's CB. So this is a really, really powerful thing. If I had, say, Milan, so I own this land, which is nice. But let's see. Let's go to a province mode. All right, so Siena considers this to be one of their cores, and Tuscany considers this to be one of their cores. So if I had Siena as a vassal, I could declare war for that province for Siena. And then that would be a new CB, a Reconquest CB, which is really, really powerful. This is Provence as well. One thing I really use this against France, because Gascony has a lot of cores here. Provence can have some cores. There's a lot of things that have a lot of cores. And so I can take just one in a war, and then the next war I can use a Reconquest CB and take all of the rest that would be there for cheaper. Also, if you have a vassal that's way away, they might be able to fabricate a claim that you're not able to fabricate. And so if they decide to do that, then you might be able to declare war for that claim, which is really, really nice. So if you have a vassal, you can declare war for that vassal's CB. And then in the Army Designer, no longer do you just have to click land units up here. you can create a template. So if I want to, I can say, you know what, I want to create an army of, let's say, 8 regulars, 2 cav, let's put in 4 cannons, and let's throw in a couple of mercs. It's going to tell me not only how much money do I need to build that army, what is the maintenance cost, how long is it going to take, the manpower cost, and then as long as I have that, which I don't have enough manpower, but as long as I have that, I could click a button and go. So let's go ahead and just do one I do have enough manpower for, just to show how that works. Now, you can only have one of each name, and so I already created one of those template names. So this is template demo, let's say. There. Everything turns green. Now, I have enough provinces to recruit 8 infantry over here, so it's green. Over here, where maybe I would want to recruit that, I don't have 8 consecutive provinces that could recruit that, and so you'll notice it's going to take more days, right? If I try to recruit it here, it would be 8 back to back to back to back to back. Take 252 days. Here it's 63 days. Over here it was 52 days. But that's yellow there, and if it can't be created, it was red, as you saw. Let's go ahead and create it in Toledo, and you can see that now all of these are there, and then when they're all created, those units will automatically go to Toledo, where I clicked. This is really, really nice for just recruiting an entire army in one click, and it's a really, really, really helpful feature to have. You can also do that with navies, although I would be wary, and by the way, you can shift click to add 10. I would be very wary of doing it with navies. You do want to make sure, I don't have enough gold, I'm sure that's what that is, cash, 10,000, let's just say. You do want to be sure that when you click this, it doesn't do anything weird. So if I click over here, it says green, which tells me it's going to be, only 1 per province, except it sometimes isn't. Here it does do that. Sometimes it's 2 per province, even though it could stretch out over here or over here to do that. The other one to watch out for is if you click a template in one of these provinces here on the south coast of the Red Sea, or the south coast of Sinai, it will load them up over here. And if you don't have the canal built, which that's a very late game feature, the 1700s before you can build a canal, then those ships that are built over here have to go all the way around Africa to get back up here. And sometimes they can't. This is, fog of war. They can't go through there. And so you have to kind of manually do that. So just watch out for that as you're building templates. I'm going to go ahead and win the last one was the last war mechanic. I have occupied this territory. I've occupied Ghent, I've occupied Vlaanderen, and I have occupied Antwerpen. Antwerpen has a fort. So, if you go in here, it's down there, Antwerpen, fourth from the bottom. I have to pay for that fort. It's an enemy fort, but I have to pay for that to maintain that fort. Now, I could mothball it, and then it would only cost me half cost each month, but it would also be mothballed and easily retaken by the enemy. And I don't want to do that. But if I go in here, I could say, you know what, New Spain, you take that fort. And then it would no longer be costing me. It's now costing New Spain. And if you do that with your subjects, you can transfer occupation to anyone who's also in the war. But if you do that with your subjects, then you can transfer it back. If you send it to an ally, then it's the AI that determines whether or not it ever comes back, and usually it doesn't. But it's a really, really nice way to help with some cost, as well as to give land. One of the interactions that you can do with some of the other DLCs is just give land to a junior partner or a vassal. Doesn't appear you can do that with just these 3. So if I wanted Portugal to own this land up here, if Portugal was in the war, I could just give them that land, and then they would be able to, I would be able to piece it out, and it would go to them instead of to me. But let's go ahead and get through this war, and then we'll talk about the League War, and we'll talk about Protestantism. All right, so we have taken some money from the Netherlands, and we pieced out of that war. And I have done a couple of things. Number 1, I've released Fez as a vassal. And then number 2, I flipped to Protestant. And you'll notice some new features on this page. That is church power. So right now, we have aspects of faith. And as I play along, church power will build. It grows by 0.11 each month. And it also, obviously the religious unity would make it go up a lot faster, but it would go up with each province I would convert as well, I do believe. But we get church power. When we get to 100 church power, we can unlock an aspect of faith, and they are really, really powerful. Development cost, stability modifier, missionary strength to convert even more, even faster, discipline, morale of armies, settlers for things there, idea cost, get more money with production efficiency, get more manpower, national unrest goes down. These are really, really powerful features, and you can have 3 of them going at any one time. It's really, really a powerful religion. It's what makes Protestant, in my mind, the most powerful religion in the game. I mean, you can have plus discipline, plus missionary or morale of armies, and manpower recovery and be a real powerhouse militarily, or you could pair it with unrest or production efficiency, right? You get 3 of those bonuses, and they're all really, really good bonuses. Well, most of them are really, really good bonuses. The other thing is that I can join the Protestant League. Immediately, I become the leader of the Protestant League. So let's go ahead and look over here. I have to wait until June. Well, that's fine. Let's wait until June and go ahead and get the Declare War screen up. Austria is my faithful ally. Well, that's great. So what we can see here is that now, because I've released Fez here, they have cores. If I go to the diplomatic screen and click on Fez, they have cores on all of this. So now when I go to Morocco, I can declare war of a reconquest for their cores. And then I would have my own CB against them if I wanted to, for social superiority for Holy War. But it's a lot less aggressive expansion for core return. So if I wanted to declare war, I could declare war there. You also notice Portugal gets called in now, which is very nice. But the big one is that when you are the leader of the Protestant League, which right now more nations can join these leagues, and they do very quickly, you can declare war on the Emperor. If I declare war on the Emperor for any CB, right now I have a Cleansing of Heresy CB, all of the Catholic League gets brought in, which is not very much fun. But they will call upon the Catholic League to help them out. If I use the Religious League CB, though, then all of the Protestant League will come in. And this is a massive war that happens roughly this time of the game, more or less. And so if you are trying to do that, you don't want to have a truce like I did because I was allied to the Emperor as Spain. You don't want to have that situation. You want to make sure that you're not allied and you don't have a truce. But, when you're starting in a later start date, I don't have control over what they did right before that. But you can declare the League War. And then let's go ahead and do that. And then I'm just going to give myself the power to fix that stuff. Admin, say 600, and dip low 600. I assume it's just dip, yeah. Let's go ahead and just, We'll fix our stability and our war exhaustion. So now we are at war with Austria, and we called in, of course, all of the religious leagues. So all of these nations joined us. All of those nations joined him. This can get huge. If France and Russia and the Commonwealth and the Ottomans all join the leagues together, we can get a really, really gigantic war. The goal, of course, of the Protestant League is to have control of the empire. It is a show superiority war, meaning that you have to win battles. This one would go very easily in my favor if I decided to fight it. And let me go ahead and fight this war, and then I will come back. Okay, so we are back. We've overrun the League war. This is a war where you can peace out participants. However, their war enthusiasm will be high because it is the religious league Cassius Belli. So when you're fighting the League war, they don't want to leave. It's plus 50 war exhaustion, so that doesn't build up very quickly. And then also when you go to the peace deal, they get 50 reasons. So not only is their war exhaustion not that bad, they're enthusiastic about the war, but also they get negative reasons to leave. So you have to really occupy everything in the province and then wait a little while to even get people to white peace out. But you can peace out some of the smaller nations. Both sides should try and do that as you go through the war. But eventually your goal is you go over here to treaties, and you can click religious supremacy, and that will make Protestant or Catholic, if you are the emperor, the official faith of the Roman Empire. It's worth 50 war score, so that is something that you would want to do, and then whatever else you want to do to that particular nation, and you win the League war. That is the League war, and that is Protestantism, and that is the 3 I consider to be essential expansions to Europa Universalis 4 and their main features: Art of War, Rights of Man, and Common Sense. I've been Thic Gaming, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I will see you next time.